Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the information session of the AOF's Financial Leaders Program. I'm Casey Kwok, the Chief Executive Officer of the Hong Kong Academy of Finance and the host of today's webinar. Thank you for your interest in the program. Since we launched the program in early November, we have received quite a lot of inquiries. Today, we have got around 45 institutions or people from 45 different institutions signing up for this webinar. We have also got a few requests on very specific issues from some institutions, which all of these are indications that there's quite a lot of interest out there. Today's webinar is to provide an opportunity for people who want to understand more about this program to have a dialogue directly with us. First of all, I'll give a very brief recap of the program, highlighting some of its features, and then I'll open the floor to take your questions. You can enter write down your questions anytime in the Q&A box of this Zoom. We have already got some questions written in, so I'll deal with those questions after this brief introduction. First of all, let me talk briefly about the objective of this program. The AOF is about leadership development. But when it comes to leadership development, we cannot focus just on the top level of leaders. We also need to have a structured program to address the needs of the second tier, the third tier, up and coming financial talents who will be our future leaders. And therefore, this program offers a unique opportunity to these second tier, third tier leaders to engage in dialogue with, bearing in mind that the background of the AOF are the regulatory authorities and from the also partly from the government. I think that the program will provide an opportunity for participants to engage in dialogue and learn from top leaders in the government, in regulatory authorities. But we also emphasize on the commercial side of things, and therefore we will also provide opportunities for participants to have dialogues with leaders in the commercial world, including financial institutions and non-financial institutions. The key concept about our program is that normally leadership development programs focus on issues like how to serve your customer better, how to do your marketing better, how to run your institution better, how you communicate with your staff better, things like this. Typically, they look from your institution's perspective, your business perspective. The companies typically run leadership development programs for its staff so that they could build a better team. But for AOF, we have the advantage that we cover different industrial sectors. I mean, within the financial services industry. So we have banks, we have insurance companies, we have fund management companies, we have regulators, we have government officials, and therefore we provide an opportunity for people from different sectors to interact with each other. Furthermore, we provide a high-level perspective. How do regulators look at things? How do governments look at things? It is not a commercial perspective. We don't look at business, or we don't look at business directly. We provide opportunities for the participants to understand financial market issues top-down rather than bottom-up. I think this is the key defining feature of our program. There are a lot of technicalities. I won't go through them in detail, but very briefly, this is a 9-month-long program. It runs from April to December. On a part-time basis, we expect the participants to commit roughly around 2 days a month. And in reality, typically it means 4 late afternoons each month on average. Bearing in mind that we have planned a trip to the Greater Bay Area and Shanghai, and therefore the amount of activities will vary over the month. So take this only as an average. For the first time, the 2022 cohort will admit around 15 members. We want to keep the class small so that people will have more opportunities to interact with each other. But of course, the actual number of intake will depend very much on the amount of applications, the background of the applicants, and so on. We aim at, as I said earlier on, applicants who are roughly CEO 1 down, 2 down. Of course, it is very difficult to define clearly what is, you know, the exact level of these people. So if you have any particular, we try to explain this. Typically, we refer to people who are generally called managing directors, general managers, heads of functions, heads of subsidiaries, something like this. But of course, there are big institutions, small institutions, multinational institutions, local institutions. So it's very difficult to define clearly. In case you have any query, feel free to get in touch with us. But in order to make sure that the quality of the applicants are what we look for, we have adopted a system that all applications have to be signed off by their CEOs. This signing off, on the one hand, confirms that the company concerned sees this individual as a potential future leader. And secondly, we want the company to, and the CEO to sign off to signify their agreement that the participant will be able to come to our activities, participate in a program during working hours. In reality, for many companies, the companies probably pay for the fees, but this is something we leave entirely to the companies and the individuals concerned to sort this out amongst themselves. For the 2022 cohort, application is now open. The deadline is 9th of January, 2022. So if you want to apply, make sure that your application reach us before January the 9th next year. Applications will be considered by the AOF membership committee. The membership committee has already laid down a number of criteria for the selection of candidates. Very generally, priority will be given to AOF members. And secondly, applicants who are based in Hong Kong or maintain a close connection with the Hong Kong financial industry on a long-term basis will be given priority. And applicants from firms whose global or regional headquarters are in Hong Kong will also be given priority. And if there are quite a lot of applications, I may invite some applicants for a meeting. It's not exactly an interview, but I think it is important that we have a good understanding of each other. I think it's important that we don't have a mismatch of expectations. I want to understand more the background, the aspirations of the applicants. I also want to communicate more clearly with the applicants so that they wouldn't come to our program and then find that it is something very different from what they expected. So I think there will be a need for such communications. Application results will be announced in February 2022. And then we will sort out all the logistics in March, and then the program will begin in April. In terms of what the program actually covers, we will have 5 themes for the program. The first theme is related to global financial architecture, socio-political trends, macroeconomic developments, macro and regulatory developments, and so forth. This is the first major area. And of course, our regulators, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the Insurance Authority, the SFC, and so on, will have a lot of dialogue with our participants on areas like this. The second area will be GBA and China, for obvious reasons. The third one is green finance and ESG. Again, I think you should understand very well why this is the case. The fourth theme is fintech and innovation. Again, another major subject that a lot of financial institutions are looking into. And finally, we will have a module talking about championing change and leadership sharing. Talking about leadership sharing, I think it is important to realize that the leadership development program emphasizes a lot on sharing and interaction. It is not a program where you come to listen to lectures and just receive whatever the lecturers or the leaders will tell you. It is a situation where you share your thoughts with the leaders concerned, where you learn from the participants with each other. We emphasize a lot on sharing and interaction. Lectures and talks will be kept to the minimum. We have already got some distinguished speakers shown in our website. I won't go through that in detail. We are still in the process of soliciting interest from more potential speakers, or should I say facilitators or leaders who will interact with our participants. There will be a fee of 100,000 Hong Kong dollars for the program. This fee, well, we don't have very detailed accounting, but we suspect that the fee will not cover fully our cost. Our cost is mainly actually staff costs and all the fixed costs of the institution. But we think a fee is important because it signifies the commitment of the participant. Once you sign up for this program, we want you to become committed. I don't want to have participants who they want to just come. If they want to come, they don't come. If they don't want to come, this is not what we want. If you sign up, if you are admitted, we want you to be fully committed. But the fee doesn't cover all the costs, and also the field trip to the Greater Bay Area and Shanghai will be paid by the participants themselves, including the traveling expenses, lodging, and other associated expenses such as insurance and so on. But other than that, we won't charge the course participants anything else. Now, having gone through the key highlights of the program, let me move on to the Q&A session. As I said earlier on, you may submit your question in the Q&A box, but I will first respond to those questions sent to us beforehand. The first question that we have received is, will the program continue in 2023 and beyond? Actually, we do intend to have one cohort of participants for this program each year. While we are planning, while we are thinking through the program, actually building up a network of alumni across cohorts is also another very important element of this program. Having said that, we are also realistic that this is only the first time we run this program. We will learn from the experiences and modify the different elements of the program as we go forward. The second question we have received is, would like to know more details of the field trip and whether the cost of the trip has been covered in the program fees. I mentioned earlier on that the trip will have to be paid, the cost of the trip will have to be paid by the participants. But when we're planning for the trip, of course, we bear in mind the likely development of COVID and travel restrictions and all that. So we tentatively hope to have a trip in September 2022. And we are planning to go to the Greater Bay Area, including Shenzhen and Shanghai. Initially, we thought about going to Beijing too, but well, we can't go to too many places. And we also bear in mind that trying to line up meetings with government officials are likely to be more difficult. So for the year 2022, we will focus only on the GBA and Shanghai. We are likely to meet financial institutions there, companies there, fintech companies, innovative businesses, and so on. We will cover probably private-owned companies, foreign enterprises, state-owned enterprises, and so on. The third question that we have got is, what's the next step after the end of the program? Well, after the end of the program, you go back to work, of course. But once, well, joking aside, graduates of the program who are not AOF members would be considered for AOF membership. Of course, this will be subject to approval by the membership committee and the meeting of AOF membership criteria and so on. The list of program participants and graduates will be published on the AOF website. We will also promote our program participants through our social media platforms, such as LinkedIn. We will communicate with the financial authorities in Hong Kong about our members. We would probably invite, as well as the industry bodies. So our program participants will be well known in the financial circles as well as with the government. If these participants have not been sitting on some of the advisory committees, boards, and other regulatory or industry bodies, then probably we'll recommend them to these bodies. We will continue to maintain this network of the participants, not only within the one cohort, but also across cohorts through organizing events and activities from time to time. But this will be for the future. The next question is, my title is not CEO, but I'm effectively functioning as CEO of the business. Can I nominate a colleague to join the program? Well, the simple answer is yes, please go ahead. We encourage more participants coming forward or potential applicants coming forward. Of course, I think applicants and applying institutions also need to bear in mind that at least up till today, based on the feedback we have got, I think you could expect a considerable amount of competition amongst institutions as well as applicants. But having said that, I should also highlight here that we want to have a mix of different participants. By a mix, I mean across different industry sectors. For example, we want to have some people from insurance, some from banks, some from fund houses, some from the regulators, and so on. We also want to have a mix of different specializations. Some may be in corporate banking, some may be in life insurance, and so on. Gender diversity, of course, is also something we will be focusing on too. The next question is, when you mention 2 levels down from the CEO, is that at the local subsidiary level or at a group level? Again, the simple answer is there is no definitive answer. We accept both applications from the subsidiaries and the group level. Applicants who work in a group's subsidiary is only required to be nominated by the CEO of the subsidiary. But if the subsidiary has close connection with the group and you could get the support from the group, or in terms of, say, for example, a reference letter, of course, we also look into those materials as well. What does an ideal applicant look like to you? What are the expectations from the talents program? Well, we welcome applicants from different backgrounds, so it would not be possible to lay out all the details, saying what makes one good or not good enough for the program. Generally speaking, our program looks for financial talents who possess considerable experience and leadership potential and are poised to become future leaders in the financial industry. And those people have, to a certain extent, a mindset to lead, to step out of the business routines and look at issues from a macro perspective, to think beyond the short term and their individual firms. Applicants should be eager for opportunities to expand their network. We expect the applicants to, being leaders, you have to communicate, you have to engage people. So the character of the applicants is also important. And of course, talking about character, good integrity, no negative track record are also very important. The next question is how the program can help Hong Kong executives, talents to understand or keep abreast of development of China financial sector. The China dimension is one of the backbones when we designed this program. Rather than narrowly focusing on just the financial sector of China, we aim to provide participants with a macro view. I'm sure the China dimension will be touched upon in all of the conversations and discussions with our distinguished speakers. Besides, you would note that we have included a dedicated module on China and GBA, plus a field trip to GBA and Shanghai. Actually, on this particular point, I mentioned earlier on that we want diversity in our program participants. We hope to have some participants whose background is more from mainland China, who speaks 普通话, but of course, we want these applicants to be expecting to stay for a reasonable period of time in Hong Kong if they may be posted back to mainland in the future. The next question is, may I understand your vision on what we, participants, can act or contribute beyond the program period? Well, interesting question. This indeed may be one of the interview questions that we pose to the applicants. Well, I would simply say, well, the sky is the limit. You use your imagination, use your creativity. I look forward to the creative and constructive work that our program participants help bring to the financial industry. For example, as program participants, you may suggest to us what kind of activities the program should include. You may suggest speakers. You may suggest companies that we should visit. And if you have good connections in the GBA or Shanghai, you may even introduce some of these connections to us. Well, I think there are many, many possibilities. Now, let me go to the live questions posted by our participants now. Because I don't have enough time to go through them beforehand, I'll just go through them in the order they came in. In terms of the first question comes from Alexandra Wong. In terms of referees' qualifications to be independent of the current employer, do independent directors of the board of the company consider as independent? Well, the short answer is yes. I think in terms of references, I think even if you find somebody who come from your current employer, I think we will certainly look into those references as well. But of course, if you think a more independent reference is better, then by all means, let us have it. Have the more independent references. The next question is from Ines Pang. I saw that the program will only take 15 participants. What will be the selection process? I mentioned briefly just now, there are also a lot of details in our website. Very simply put, we will internally, through the executives of the academy, do some first round screening. By screening, I mean looking at all, compiling a summary of all these. And if there are quite a lot of participants, we will also perhaps set up meetings with some of them to discuss, to understand each other better. And then the executives of the Academy of Finance will compile a summary of all these applications for the membership committee of the Academy of Finance, who will make the final decision. you could go to our website to see more details on this particular subject. The next question from Peter Lee. What happens after the program participants graduate? Well, I covered that a bit earlier on. Sorry. Well, we will continue to engage those graduates. We will, well, the key concept is the whole program is to groom future leaders for Hong Kong's financial services industry. By leaders, we want them to be on top of things. We want them to contribute more to Hong Kong's financial market development. We want them to have a close network with each other, because financial services business at the end of the day is a people business. You need to trust the people you interact with. You need to brainstorm with other people to come up with new ideas, to come up with innovative products or services. You need to collaborate. So we need to engage these graduates. We want most of them to become our members, if not all of them. And we will continue to engage them as AOF members too, apart from the graduates from the graduate network and across cohorts. The next question from Lisa Lai. Will there be any annual field trips, visits for graduates, alumni? We don't have plans for that in the meantime, but of course, once these graduates get to know each other better, I'm sure they will continue to have their own friendly functions, events. They will continue to engage with each other. They will have regular lunches and gatherings and whatever. I think it will be up to the graduates or participants concerned. But so far as AOF is concerned, we have always been organizing events that engage our members, promote collaboration amongst our members, promote dialogue, learning from each other, inviting good speakers and good leaders or people with good ideas to share with us, to stimulate our thinking. So all these things will continue. The next question also from Lisa Lai, as quota for joining the Financial Leaders Program is limited, will the financial regulator be guaranteed at least one? I wouldn't say guarantee. At the end of the day, it's the decision of the membership committee. But as I mentioned earlier on, we want diversity. And therefore, regulators, having participants from regulators actually will help to promote this diversity. It would be useful for people coming from the commercial side to have a lot more closer interaction with people from the regulators so that they could understand each other better. I think this is the whole purpose of getting different people together in a program like this. The next question from Semi. Will English be the main communication language of the program? One of the modules is GBA in China. Will this be in English or Chinese? We expect that most of the program will be conducted in English, because hopefully we will have some foreigners as one or some of the participants of the program. Again, this is part of our diversity. Even if you see Asian faces, they may be Koreans, they may be Japanese, they may be Malaysian. So it's sometimes difficult. Not everybody speaks in Cantonese. So our experience with most of our AOF programs is that very often English needs to be the main communication language. But of course, there will be occasions, particularly during the trip to GBA and Shanghai, that there will be occasions when the speaker will just speak in Putonghua. I think we have to be prepared for that. And we will also advise people who can't communicate well in Putonghua to consider having a translator for him or for her when we are participating in the mainland China trip. Many financial institutions have branch offices or subsidiaries or other offices in mainland, you could perhaps ask one of your colleagues in the mainland to help you to do the translation there for you. A further question from Lisa: what is the class size of the program? Will it be expanded if the nomination is enthusiastic? Yes, the answer is yes. The class size the initial plan is 15, but if we have a lot of very good applications, we will consider expanding the class size. But as I mentioned earlier on, we don't want the class to be too big. We don't want 40 people. We don't want probably 30 people. 20 people maybe, because we want to have close interaction amongst the participants. The next question from Queenie: if we cannot make it due to teaching duties for the field trip, is it okay? A very good question. Thank you, Queenie. You reminded me of the need to highlight one point, which is that we expect the participants to attend as much of the program as possible. But, well, let's be realistic. We are all busy people. So from time to time, there may be personal situations, there may be business situations that make it really difficult for people to participate. And therefore, just to be easy for us to run the program, we have set a limit of 75%. So we expect all the participants to participate at least 75% of the program. So even if you cannot go to the field trip, but if you could attend most, if not all of the other programs, I think you will still meet the 75% criteria. The next question comes from Susanna. Can share some examples of identified speakers, leaders who will lead discussion and sharing in fintech and most newly developed or adopted technology digitalization for the industry? I guess the question is, Susanna wants to know some examples of the speakers or leaders. Actually, we have some speakers who have promised to speak to us, and their names have already been listed in our website and as well as in our brochure. I won't go through all of them. For example, Mr. Joseph Yam has agreed. Mr. Norman Chen has agreed. Most of the key regulators, the chairman of the regulatory authorities have agreed. Of course, we will also have other people from different sectors, like we have an economist, chief China economist, Ms. Wang Tao. We have people from Dr. Ma Jun, people like that. Good. Take a look at our website. The next question is from Annie. Annie asked the question: will there be any subsidy from the Hong Kong SAR government for participating companies? The answer in a simple way is no. But as I said earlier on, the program fee actually doesn't cover the cost of AOF. So in a way, there is a subsidy. But the AOF is charged with the job of leadership development. So we take this as a duty of the regulatory authorities to develop leadership. So whether companies would want to subsidize their employees would be something entirely up to the companies concerned and the individuals concerned. We have one more question from Alice. What are the criteria for graduation except 75% attendance? Well, 75% attendance is a measurable criteria. Of course, in general, we want the participants to be good people, responsive, participatory, enthusiastic, demonstrate leadership, you name it. I think we have exhausted all the questions. There are a few thank yous. Thank you very much for those kind words. If you have any further questions, please feel free to, sorry. Some more question at the end, which I missed. Very quickly, will there be any formal, informal assessment of the criteria that you just mentioned? Assessment of the criteria. Not sure what exactly you mean by criteria. In terms of selection assessment, I don't think we have any hard and fast or rigid criteria. In terms of graduation, again, I don't think we have any rigid criteria. We are all adults. You know, and I know what leaders are. Final question. Wait a minute. Questions keep coming in. No need for exam? No, there will be no exam. That is good people, responsive, etc. Yes. Any assignment of each module, please. We don't expect people to go back home and do homework. But we do expect participants to do the homework before coming to many of the events. For example, if you're going to see Ashley Elder next week, I want you to be fully prepared to engage in a dialogue with Ashley Elder. Don't miss the opportunity. Don't go there empty-handed and expect Ashley Elder to give you an introduction to what the work of the SFC is. We don't want to stay at that introductory level. I want you to ask critical questions, soul-searching questions to Ashley Elder. And in order to do that, you have to do your homework. Similarly, when you're going to see Eddie Yu, when you're going to see all these high-level leaders, I don't want you to go there empty-handed. Nothing in your mind. Actually, in terms of running the program, I will be involved in it. I will probably assign individual participants as coordinators for different programs. The coordinators will be charged with the responsibility of assigning some people. Well, when we go to meet Ashley Elder next week, you will be responsible to ask questions in that particular subject, so that people could at least make the best opportunity, make the best use of these very unique opportunities. Any slightest chance that AOF will consider 2 applicants from the same organization? Unfortunately, I don't think this is something we want to entertain at this juncture, because I expect to have quite a lot of applications from different organizations. So we need to be fair to different organizations. And talking about that, I think we also want to have big organizations as well as small organizations. We don't want to confine the applications only to big organizations. We also want to have different background. Hopefully, we'll have a very smart guy from, I don't know, fintech. That would be great. What kind of reference letters are required, preferred? Well, I don't think there is a strict, simple answer. Just a good reference letter. With diversity in background, would applicants of a mainland background who have permanent residency in Hong Kong be considered favorably? Well, we don't normally take the nationality of the applicants into account. We take into account the leadership capability, the experience, the background, of the applicant, but we do look at the linkage of the applicant with Hong Kong. If this is an expatriate, if this is somebody who is sent by their head office to Hong Kong to work, and this is the 3rd year working in Hong Kong, and he or she is expected to be posted out of Hong Kong in a year's time, then we probably don't want to have this applicant unless he or she could demonstrate that there is a long-term link with Hong Kong. So I think we have really exhausted all the questions this time. Well, I don't want to hold you up anymore. Thank you very much. I hope you will find this session useful. As I said earlier on, if you have any further questions, feel free to get in touch with us. And I encourage you to seize this opportunity. Well, there will be a lot of competition, but this is a very unique opportunity, and I think it will be a great opportunity for you to have a very different kind of leadership development program. Thank you. Goodbye.